camera. Oh, are we starting?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, my name is Shane Reichel, and I'm going to be talking about product placement in mass media. If you look at the movie screen and you see a real-life restaurant like Pizza Hut, or if you see a child carrying a Lightning McQueen toy, then that means you've just witnessed product placement in the story you are watching. The thing about product placement is when you start seeing product placement occurring more than it should for the film, or if it becomes an integral part of the plot, then it's not cinematic art. It's a cinematic commercial provoking its audience to spend money on unnecessary items. Excessive product placement is compromising the art value of mass media. The frequent use of product placement becomes a source of ridicule, according to a quote from Garth Algar, a character from the 1992 film Wayne's World, played by Dana Carvey. It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad. Although he was being hypocritical about sponsorship, he's actually right, because there are some filmmakers who get paid by big corporations to make promotions of just about anything. And they won't care about how good or bad their outcomes are. What really matters to them is the money. And those people become sellouts. And nobody likes sellouts because it proves that people will do anything for reward rather than quality presentation. More evidence is from Jennifer Red Dominique's review of the 2017 Power Rangers movie. Perhaps Lionsgate realized that when you're an hour and a half into a teen angst movie, which takes itself way too seriously, and the kids still haven't morphed into their Power Rangers costumes, you start thinking about food, specifically donuts. This proves that when Krispy Kreme becomes an integral plot device in the Power Rangers movie, as the location of this MacGuffin known as the Zeo Crystal, then audiences and critics start cracking jokes about how Lionsgate is conspiring with Krispy Kreme to brainwash kids into believing that if they eat donuts at Krispy Kreme, they'll be just as cool as the Power Rangers. Overall, using satire to criticize product placement is a unique tactic to indicate how films really have no reason to continuously rely on product placement. The process of product placement in media draws attention away from the plot. From the words of Kristen Nakuna, who wrote a review about The Amazing Spider-Man 2's absurd amount of Sony products, all of a sudden, these moments become a lot less emotional and more about the Sony products staring audiences in the face. When marketing starts to take viewers' focus away from the film for even the slightest moment, it starts to become an eye roll. This justifies that the viewers of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 became tired of the executives of Sony Pictures continuously pointing out that the Spider-Man films belong completely to Sony. We as the audience understand that, but to constantly see Sony laptops, Sony phones, Sony computers, Sony everything, at this point, it just withdraws the emotional attention that the film is trying to implement. Jeff Steinbrunner, a writer for the website Cracked, addressed in an article he wrote for Cracked titled, "The 10 Most Shameless Product Placements in Movie History." A bucket of Popeyes is used to convert the forces of darkness to good, and an actual working actor is forced to say, "Popeye's chicken is the shiznit." That's an actual quote used in Adam Sandler's comedy film from 2000 titled Little Nicky. The plot is about Satan's favorite son, Nicky, played by Sandler himself, who is on a quest in New York to stop his brothers from dominating the world. The plot has been described as intolerable, but the nail that seals the coffin is the fact that Sandler's production company, Happy Madison's Productions, and the filmmakers of this particular movie dedicated 2 scenes of the entire film to advertise Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. It doesn't matter where the chicken came from. It's humorless to dedicate 2 scenes to promoting chicken as the superior food choice. In short, films that only exist to advertise are looked down upon by critics and audiences because there's a lack of artistic value and a surplus of meaningless branding. Product placement frequently intrudes into the media. An example of commercialism ruining a film is provided by Bill Gordon in the following quote. The jerk-offs at Orion Pictures, with dollar signs in their eyes, decided to make an ill-advised E.T. ripoff called Mac and Me. That is absolutely terrible by any known measure, but what makes things worse is the constant and blatant product placements that portray a rather egregious cynicism. What he means is that if Orion Pictures is going to allow McDonald's and Coca-Cola to sponsor this entire film and halt the film, then the film itself is guaranteed to be a bomb, all because it relies on promotions. In regards to the website boxofficemojo.com, the movie was a box office failure, grossing $6.4 million, which is less than a $13 million budget it was given. People like Michael Bay try to defend the use of product placement, but in hindsight, filmmakers need to focus more on artistic value and make them more meaningful to its audience instead of relying on food and drink corporations and allowing such products to steal the spotlight. In conclusion, filmmakers should limit the utilization of products in their films and not rely on food and drink corporations and refrain from selling out their skills for the sake of compensation. Thank you. I had so much more to say.
It's better than you drove with time. Like I only have 2 minutes.
All right, Shane, let's talk about the things that I think are really solid. You do a good job citing the sources in your presentation. You've got a diversity of information that you're using, which I think really helps. The examples are things that the audience can relate to and appreciate because they're pretty specific and they refer to things that people are likely to have encountered, although I doubt anybody in here has seen Mac and Me.
Yeah.
You know, but the other ones I think are pretty good illustrations of that. I thought that it's also delivered very effectively. The language that you use in the presentation, I think, is phrased in an interesting way. It sounds like it is thoughtful about the issue, and I appreciated the way in which you described some of the things that you're talking about. There's also a little bit of perspective on some of those things. The things that I think are a little bit problematic are organizational issues, which seem to me like the thing that you and I talked about the most when we were discussing this. All the information that you have, I think you used it pretty well, but I do think that you have claims that get hidden in the argument that need to be underlined and highlighted a little bit more as you're presenting the information so we can see how all of these points fit together. This would be an easy fix for structural stuff because I do think that you have some of those points in the argument, but they don't always get labeled. I hear the declarative sentence and going, yeah, I know that that's the next point that he's making. If only he would, give us some like if there'd been a preview that was going to lead us to that point, then the declarative sentence would be enough. Since there wasn't that, then I think maybe we ought to have the numerical signpost to go with it. But we didn't get either of those things, so it's less organized than it actually is. It's just a technical thing that needs to be fixed. Like I said, the content I think is pretty good. In the long run, the main issue is going to be how important is product placement, or how likely is it to distract people from the essence of the movie. When you have bad movies, for instance, it becomes something that maybe we do need the distraction. And when you have a good movie, I think you were right that it would become something that would be problematic. The question of whether or not it makes the movie good or bad, that's kind of what your argument is, and I'm not sure that we've gotten to the point where we can distinguish are movies made worse because they have product placement, or they simply made affordable because they have product placement. So we've got to be a little bit careful about that because there's also a value component there.
I actually had a lot to say during this time, but I didn't realize that I had less time than I thought I did.
Well, you got the 6 minutes and 23 seconds, so you were fine. All right, thank you.